You have knelt in churches, bowed your head, whispered into the darkness, and waited. Waited for a voice, waited for a sign, waited for God to reach down from heaven and touch you. And every time, there was silence. Not the silence of peace, not the silence of presence, but the silence of absence. The silence that makes you wonder if anyone is listening, if anyone was ever listening, if you are praying to an empty sky. You have felt it, haven't you? That hollow space after Amen. That moment when you open your eyes and the world is exactly as you left it. No warmth, no light, no hand on your shoulder saying, I am here, just you, alone, waiting for a God who feels further away the louder you pray. And so you prayed harder. You went to more services. You read more scripture. You confessed more sins. You tried to be better, holier, more worthy, because they told you that if you just had enough faith, if you just surrendered enough, if you just believed hard enough, the silence would break. God would answer. The kingdom would come, but it never did. The silence remained. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the hymns and the sermons and the desperate repetitions of the same prayers, a question began to form. A question you were afraid to speak out loud because it felt like blasphemy. What if the silence is not God's absence? What if the silence is your forgetting? What if you have been praying to a God outside when the presence you are searching for is inside? What if you have been looking up when you should have been looking in? What if the kingdom you are waiting for is not coming because it is already here, spread out upon the earth, and you do not see it because no one ever taught you how to look? What if I told you there is a gospel that answers that question? A gospel that was buried in the Egyptian desert for 1,600 years. A gospel that the early church banned, burned, and declared heretical. A gospel written by the one they called Didymus, Judas Thomas, the twin. And what if I told you it was banned for one reason, and one reason only? Because its message, spoken in 114 sayings, carved into parchment in the language Jesus spoke, is this: you are God. Not metaphor, not theology, not some distant, poetic idea that makes you feel inspired for a moment and then fades. Literal, direct, uncompromising. The kingdom is not in heaven. It is not in a church. It is not on an altar or in a sacrament or in the hands of a priest. The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. It is here, now, in this breath, in this moment, in the awareness that is reading these words, and you do not need to seek it. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to wait for it. You only need to remember it, because your soul already knows. You were taught to kneel. This gospel teaches you to stand. You were taught to beg. This gospel teaches you to recognize. You were taught that you are broken, sinful, fallen, separated from God by an unbridgeable chasm that only the blood of Christ can cross. This gospel says you have never been anything but whole, that the light of God is not descending from heaven. It is looking through your eyes right now. This is the gospel of Thomas, the lost gospel, the forbidden gospel, the gospel that does not tell you to worship Jesus, but to become him. Because what he was, you are. He is not unique. He is the first to remember. You are the next. And for 2,000 years, the church has kept this teaching from you, not because it is false, but because it is true. And the truth is too dangerous, because if you knew what Thomas teaches, you would never kneel again. You would never beg for forgiveness from a distant king. You would never believe that salvation is somewhere else, in some other time, through some other person. You would know, directly, immediately, that the kingdom is here, that the light is in you, that the breath you are breathing is the breath of God, and that you are not a sinner waiting to be saved. You are the light remembering itself. And that knowledge is the most dangerous thing in the world to an institution built on your forgetting. By the end of this video, you will not just learn what was hidden in the Gospel of Thomas. You will feel it return. You will speak it, and you will understand why they could not let it survive, why they buried it in the sand, why they called it heresy, why they burned the books and silenced the mystics who carried it. Not because it was wrong, but because it was right. And the right teaching does not make you dependent. It makes you free. This is not history. This is remembering. And the remembering begins now. The Gospel of Thomas was discovered in December 1945, buried in a sealed jar beneath the cliffs of Nag Hammadi, Egypt. A farmer digging for fertilizer struck the jar with his mattock, cracked it open, and inside found 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts, ancient, forbidden, hidden for over 16 centuries. Among them was the Gospel of Thomas. Not a narrative, not a story of miracles and crucifixion, just 114 sayings, direct transmissions. The words of Jesus, preserved in Coptic, translated from Greek, likely originating in Aramaic, the language he spoke. And when scholars began to translate it, they realized something extraordinary. This was not just another gospel. This was the gospel the church had been trying to erase since the 3rd century. The one they called Gnostic, the one they declared heretical at the Council of Nicaea, the one they banned, burned, and buried, because it threatened the very foundation of the institution they were building. Why? What was so dangerous about 114 sayings that the church spent centuries hunting down every copy, every fragment, every whisper of its existence? The answer is simple. The Gospel of Thomas does not need the church. It does not need priests. It does not need sacraments, rituals, hierarchies, or intermediaries. It teaches direct knowing, unmediated communion, the kingdom within. And if you know the kingdom is within, you do not need someone to grant you access. You do not need a building to house God. You do not need an institution to forgive your sins. You do not need them. And that was the problem. Let me be clear about something. The early church did not preserve the teachings of Jesus. It curated them. It selected 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and declared them canonical, divinely inspired, the only true accounts. And it buried the rest, not because the others were false, but because they were inconvenient, because they taught things that could not coexist with the power structure the church was building in the 3rd and 4th centuries, after Constantine legalized Christianity, and the faith became the religion of the Roman Empire. The church needed believers, not mystics. It needed followers, not equals. It needed a flock that would kneel, confess, obey, and tithe. And the mystical teachings, the ones that spoke of inner knowing, of direct communion, of the kingdom already present within you, those teachings created sovereignty, not submission. So the church made a choice. It kept the Gospels that made you dependent, the ones that told you that you are a sinner, that you are separated from God, that you need a mediator to bridge the gap, the ones that told you the kingdom is coming, but not yet. That salvation is possible, but only through the blood of Christ and the sacraments of the church. And it erased the Gospels that made you whole, the ones that said you are already divine, that the light is already in you, that the kingdom is not coming because it is already here, that you do not need a priest because you are the temple. The Gospel of Thomas was the most dangerous of them all, because it does not tell you that Jesus died for your sins. It tells you that you never sinned, that sin is not a stain on your soul. It is forgetting who you are. And the moment you remember, the sin dissolves. Not through confession, not through penance, through awareness. Thomas does not say the kingdom is in heaven, waiting for you after death. It says the kingdom is here, spread out upon the earth, inside of you and outside of you, present, immediate, accessible. Thomas does not say you need to be saved. It says you need to wake up, to see what is already in front of you, to remember what your soul has always known. And the early church could not allow that teaching to survive, because a believer who knows the kingdom is within does not need the church to mediate their relationship with God. A believer who knows they are the light does not need a hierarchy to tell them they are worthy. A believer who knows salvation is remembering, not earning, does not need sacraments to cleanse them or priests to absolve them. They are already free. And free people cannot be controlled. So the church declared Thomas heretical. It called the teaching Gnostic, a word that means knowing, and turned it into a slur. It said the gospel was dangerous, deceptive, demonic. It told believers that anyone who read it would be led astray, corrupted, damned, and it worked. For over 1,000 years, the Gospel of Thomas existed only in fragments, in references, in the writings of church fathers who condemned it. The actual text was lost, destroyed, erased from history until 1945. Until that farmer in Egypt cracked open a jar and found what the church thought it had buried forever. But here is what they did not understand. Here is what they could never destroy. The teaching did not live in the book. It lived in the transmission, in the living lineage of mystics who carried it, whispered it, embodied it in caves and deserts and hidden monasteries where the fire of the original teaching still burned. The desert fathers knew. Those early Christian mystics who fled into the wastelands of Egypt and Syria in the 3rd and 4th centuries, not to escape the world but to escape the church. They knew. They did not pray the prayers as recitations. They prayed them as breath practices. They sat in silence for hours, breathing in the presence of the Father, breathing out the false self, and in that space, the teaching became something more than words. It became union. One of them, Evagrius Ponticus, wrote, "The one who prays without ceasing breathes God." Not metaphor, instruction. The breath you are breathing right now is not yours. It is the breath of God moving through you. And when you recognize that, the separation dissolves. Another mystic, from the Gospel of Thomas itself, recorded Jesus saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you." Not salvation through Christ. Salvation through remembering what you already are, through bringing forth the light that is already in you, through recognizing that the kingdom is not out there, it is here, and it has always been here. But the church could not allow that, because if every believer could access the Father directly, through breath, through silence, through the recognition of their own divine nature, then what need was there for bishops, for priests, for the Vatican, for the institution itself? And so they did what institutions do when they are threatened. They consolidated power. They standardized doctrine. They edited the teachings to fit the needs of control. They kept the parables that made you feel small. They removed the sayings that reminded you that you are vast. They preserved the stories that made you dependent on grace. They buried the teachings that said you are already whole. The Gospel of Thomas was not lost by accident. It was not destroyed by time or damaged by the elements. It was banned, intentionally, strategically, by men who knew exactly what they were doing. They built an empire on your forgetting. Cathedrals, hierarchies, doctrines, creeds. 2,000 years of power and wealth and control, all built on a single lie. that you are separated from God and need them to bring you back. And the Gospel of Thomas was the greatest threat to that lie, because it did not argue with the church. It did not debate theology. It simply said, "Look, the kingdom is within you. The light is in you. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up a stone, and you will find me." Not in temples, not in rituals, in the world, in the ordinary, in you. And the most terrifying part? The gospel does not even try to convince you. It does not plead. It does not argue. It simply states, as if it is so obvious, so self-evident, that no explanation is needed. The kingdom is here. You are the light. You have always been whole. And if you believe that, if you know that you will never kneel again, that is why they banned it. That is why they buried it. That is why they have spent 2 millennia making sure you never read it, never hear it, never remember what it teaches. Because the Gospel of Thomas does not create Christians, it creates Christs. And a world of Christs is a world where the church has no power, but the teaching survived. Not in libraries, not in seminaries, in you. In the quiet knowing that has always been there, beneath the doctrine, beneath the guilt, beneath the fear, the knowing that you are more than what they told you. That the silence after prayer is not absence, it is presence. And the presence is not distant, it is here, breathing through you, seeing through your eyes, living as you. And now, after 1,600 years, the gospel has returned, not because scholars dug it up, but because you are ready to remember. So let us open it. Let us read what they did not want you to see. Let us decode the sayings that were too dangerous to survive. And let us understand, finally, what the Gospel of Thomas really teaches. Not religion, not belief, awakening. The Gospel of Thomas begins with a single line. No birth narrative, no genealogy tracing Jesus back to David or Abraham, no angels announcing good news to shepherds. Just this: these are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke, and which Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down. Secret sayings, not public sermons, not parables for the masses. Secret, hidden, meant for those who were ready to hear them. And the one who recorded them was called Didymus Judas Thomas. 3 names, 3 words, all meaning the same thing: twin. Didymus is Greek for twin. Thomas is Aramaic for twin. Judas, in this context, is not the betrayer. It is simply a name. But together, the title tells you something extraordinary. This disciple was known as the twin of whom ancient Christian tradition, particularly in the Syriac churches of the East, held that Thomas was not just a disciple of Jesus. He was his twin brother. Not biological, necessarily, but spiritual. The one who mirrored the Christ consciousness most perfectly. The one who understood the teaching so deeply that he became indistinguishable from the teacher. And that is the key to understanding this gospel. It is not called the Gospel of Thomas because Thomas invented the teaching. It is called that because Thomas embodied it. He became what Jesus was. He remembered what Jesus remembered. He awoke to the same light. And the entire gospel is an instruction manual for how you do the same. Because the teaching is this: what Jesus was, you are. He is not unique. He is not the only Son of God. He is the first to remember, the first to fully awaken to the truth that the Father's breath is his breath, that the light of God is his awareness, that the kingdom is not a place he is going but a state he is living, and you are the next, the twin, the one who is being called to remember. That is why the gospel was banned, not because it diminished Jesus, but because it elevated you. And the church could not allow that, because a teaching that makes you equal to Christ is a teaching that destroys the need for the church itself. So let us read what they buried. Let us decode the sayings that were too dangerous to survive, and let us see if they awaken something in you. Not something new, something ancient, something that has been waiting your entire life to be remembered. The disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us, what is the kingdom of heaven like?" And Jesus said to them, "If those who lead you say to you, 'See, the kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, 'It is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty." Read that again, slowly. If those who lead you say to you, "See, the kingdom is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. Do you see what he is doing? He is dismantling the lie that the kingdom is somewhere else, up there, in heaven, after death, in some distant future when you are finally good enough, pure enough, faithful enough. If the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds who live in the sky would already be there. They would already be in the kingdom, but they are not, because the kingdom is not up there. And if the kingdom is in the sea, then the fish would already possess it. But they do not, because the kingdom is not out there either. So where is it? The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you, not one or the other, both, inside and outside, non-dual. You are not separate from the world. You are not a soul trapped in a body, waiting to escape to heaven. You are the world becoming conscious of itself. You are the kingdom recognizing itself. And then Jesus says the most important line. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. Sons of the living Father, not servants, not sinners, not beggars at the throne. Sons, equals, heirs, the same substance, the same light, the same breath. But only if you know yourselves. Not believe, not hope, not pray harder. No, direct knowing, gnosis. The recognition that what you are seeking is what you already are. And if you do not know yourself, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. This is not about material wealth. This is about spiritual poverty. The poverty of forgetting. The poverty of believing you are small, separate, powerless. The poverty of praying to a distant God when the presence you are seeking is the awareness reading these words right now. That poverty is not imposed on you by God. It is you. You are the poverty, because you have forgotten who you are, and the moment you remember, the poverty dissolves. Not because something is added to you, but because you see what was always there. The kingdom, inside and outside, here, now. Jesus said, "It is I who am the light which is above them all. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did the all extend. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." This is the saying the church could never explain, because if you take it literally, it is blasphemy. Jesus is claiming to be God, not the Son of God, not the Messiah, God himself, the light above them all, the source from which everything comes and to which everything returns. But here is what the church did not want you to understand. When Jesus says, "I," he is not talking about Jesus of Nazareth, the man, the carpenter's son. He is talking about Christ consciousness. the awareness that is awake in all things, the light that is looking through every pair of eyes, the presence that animates every living being. It is I who am the light which is above them all. Not was, am, present tense, eternal. The light is not something that existed 2,000 years ago in Palestine. It is here, now, in this moment, above all things, beneath all things, as all things. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did the all extend. This is the mystical truth, the truth that every mystic in every tradition has discovered when they go deep enough. There is no separation. There is no you and God. There is only one thing, appearing as many, one light, shining through infinite forms, one breath, breathing through all living beings, and that one thing is not distant. It is not transcendent. It is immanent, present. Here, split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there, not in temples, not in altars, not in scriptures or sacraments or sacred places, in the wood, in the stone, in the ordinary, the broken, the overlooked, the forgotten. God is not in the cathedral. God is in the forest, in the sidewalk, in the cracked pavement under your feet, in the breath you are breathing, in the awareness that is reading these words. And if the light is in the wood and the stone, then the light is also in you. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. You are the place where the light is looking out at the world. You are the aperture through which God is experiencing existence. Split a piece of wood, lift up a stone, look in the mirror, and you will find the same thing. I am there, not Jesus the man, but Christ, the light, the awareness, the presence that has no beginning and no end. And this is the teaching the church banned. Because if you truly understand it, if you truly feel it, you will never look for God outside yourself again. You will know, directly, that the presence you are seeking is the one doing the seeking. That the light you are searching for is the one doing the searching. You are not separate from God. You are God, temporarily forgetting, so that God can experience what it is like to remember. His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus said to them, "It will not come by waiting for it. It will not be a matter of saying, 'Here it is,' or 'There it is.' Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it." This is the final nail in the coffin of the church's theology, because the church has built its entire structure on a single promise: the kingdom is coming. Not now, not yet, but soon. And if you believe, if you obey, if you confess and tithe and submit, then when the kingdom comes, you will be included. But Jesus, in the Gospel of Thomas, says the exact opposite. It will not come by waiting for it. The kingdom is not coming. It is not in the future. It is not a reward you earn or a place you go when you die. It is already here. The kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it. Spread out, present tense, not will be spread, is spread, right now, in this moment, on this earth, in this life. The kingdom is not a distant paradise. It is here, in the grass, in the trees, in the sky, in your breath, in your awareness. And the tragedy, the cosmic tragedy, is not that the kingdom is absent. The tragedy is that it is present, and you do not see it. Why? Because you have been taught to look for it in the wrong place. You have been taught to look up when you should be looking here. You have been taught to wait when you should be seeing. You have been taught that the kingdom is a place you go when it is a state you are. The kingdom is not coming. The kingdom is now. and it has always been now. It was now when Jesus spoke these words. It was now when Thomas wrote them down. It was now when the monks buried the gospel in the sand. And it is now, in this moment, as you read these words, the kingdom is spread out upon the earth, in the wood and the stone, in the silence and the breath, in the space between your thoughts and the awareness that is witnessing this moment, and people do not see it. Not because it is hidden, but because they were taught to look somewhere else. But there is more, so much more. These 3 sayings are only the beginning. The gospel contains 111 others, and every single one is a key, a decoder, a transmission designed to break the spell of forgetting and return you to the awareness of what you are. Logian 70. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. Salvation is not external. It is not granted by a priest or purchased with good deeds. Salvation is bringing forth what is already within you, the light, the awareness, the kingdom. If you bring it forth, if you recognize it, embody it, live it, it will save you, not from hell, from the illusion that you are separate. And if you do not, if you continue to believe the lie that you are small, broken, sinful, powerless, then that lie will kill you, not your body, your soul. It will kill the part of you that knows the truth, and you will live your entire life in poverty, never realizing that the kingdom was always here, within you, waiting to be seen. Logion 108. Jesus said, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I myself shall become he, and the things that are hidden will be revealed to him." This is not about worship. This is about identity, about union, about becoming what Jesus was. Not a follower, not a believer, but the same. The light recognizing itself in another form. I myself shall become he. Not, he will become my servant. Not, he will worship me. He will become me. We will be one. The same awareness, the same light, the same breath. And when that happens, the things that are hidden will be revealed. Not because new information is given, but because the veil is lifted, and you see what was always there. The kingdom spread out upon the earth, the light in the wood and the stone, the presence breathing through you. This is the teaching they banned. These are the words they buried, not because they were false, but because they were true. And the truth does not create followers, it creates equals. The Gospel of Thomas is not a book of stories. It is a transmission, a technology, a series of keys designed to unlock the awareness that you are not separate from God, that the kingdom is not coming, that the light is not distant, that you are the kingdom, you are the light, you are the presence you have been seeking your entire life. And the moment you remember that, everything changes. Not the world, you, because you see what you could not see before, and you cannot unsee it. The kingdom is here. It has always been here, and you have been standing in it, breathing it, living it, without recognizing it, until now. This is not new information. This is remembering. You have always known this. Before the priests told you that you were fallen. Before the sermons told you that you were sinful. Before the doctrines told you that salvation was somewhere else, in some other time, through some other person. Your soul knew. You felt it when you were a child, lying in the grass, staring up at the sky, and for a moment, just a moment, there was no separation between you and the world. You were the grass, you were the sky, you were the light pouring down, and it felt more real than anything you had ever been taught in church. You felt it when you looked into the eyes of someone you loved and saw infinity staring back. Not their personality, not their story, but something deeper, something vast, something that felt like home. You felt it every time you prayed, and the silence was louder than the words. Every time you sat in a sanctuary and felt more alone than you did in the forest. Every time you confessed your sins and walked away still feeling the weight, still feeling the separation, still feeling like God was somewhere else and you were here, small and broken and waiting. That feeling was not your failure. That feeling was the echo of what you forgot, the remembering trying to break through, the light trying to wake up. And tonight, it is waking up. Not because I am teaching you, but because your soul recognizes what it has always known. The kingdom is not coming. The kingdom is. The light is not distant. The light is here. And you are not separate from God. You are the place where God is becoming aware of himself. This is not belief. This is knowing. And the knowing does not come from outside. It comes from within. Because within is where it has always been. You are not broken. You were never broken. The church told you that you are a sinner, that you are fallen, that you are separated from God by an unbridgeable chasm of shame and guilt and unworthiness. And the only way back is through their sacraments, their priests, their rituals, their control. But the Gospel of Thomas says something different. It says you are not a sinner. You are not fallen. You are not separated. You are asleep. And sin is not a stain on your soul. Sin is forgetting who you are. The moment you remember, the sin dissolves. Not through confession, not through penance, not through blood sacrifice or atonement or begging for mercy. Through awareness, through seeing what is already true. You are the light which is above them all. You are the kingdom spread out upon the earth. You are the breath of the living Father, moving through this body, seeing through these eyes, living as this life. And you have always been, before you were born, before your parents were born, before the world began. The light that is looking through your eyes right now is the same light that split the void in Genesis, the same light that moved over the waters, the same light that Jesus called I am, not was, am, present, eternal, here. And the tragedy is not that you lost it. The tragedy is that you were taught to believe you never had it, that it was somewhere else, in heaven, in the future, in a man who died 2,000 years ago on a cross. But it is not there. It is here, in you, as you. The presence you are seeking is the one doing the seeking. The light you are searching for is the one doing the searching. And when you stop searching and start seeing, the world does not change. You do, because you remember what you forgot, that you are not in the kingdom. The kingdom is in you. Split a piece of wood, and I am there, not Jesus. Not some distant God sitting on a throne in the clouds, judging your every thought and weighing your every action. I, the awareness, the consciousness, the light, the I that is looking through your eyes right now. The I that is reading these words. The I that is breathing this breath. That I is not personal. It is not yours. It is universal. It is the one awareness, experiencing itself through infinite forms. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up a stone, and you will find me there. Look in the mirror, and you will see me staring back, not because you are special, but because everyone is special, because the light is in all things. The presence is in all things. God is not in the temple. God is in the world, in the wood and the stone and the breath and the awareness, and you are not separate from that. You are that. You are the light, temporarily forgetting itself, so that it can experience the joy of remembering. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is experience. Close your eyes right now and feel the breath moving in and out of your body. That breath is not yours. It is the breath of God. The same breath that has moved through every living thing since the beginning. And it is moving through you. Open your eyes and look at the world around you. The light entering your eyes, the awareness witnessing this moment, the presence that is here, now, reading these words that is not yours either. It is the light of God, the awareness of God, the presence of God, and God is not watching you from a distance. God is experiencing you, living as you, breathing as you, seeing through your eyes, feeling through your heart. You are not a sinner begging for forgiveness. You are God, playing hide and seek with himself. And the seeking is over, because you have been found, not by someone else, by yourself. The kingdom is within you, not will be, not might be, is, right now. In this breath, in this heartbeat, in the space between your thoughts, in the awareness that is reading these words, and the silence that follows. The kingdom is not a place you go when you die. It is not a reward for good behavior. It is not something you earn through faith or prayer or obedience. The kingdom is a state, a recognition, a remembering. And the remembering does not happen in your mind. It happens in your chest, in your cells, in the quiet awareness that is witnessing this moment and knows, without thinking, that it is true. You do not need to seek the kingdom. You only need to see it. And when you see it, you realize it was never hidden. It was spread out upon the earth, in the grass and the trees and the sky, in the faces of strangers and the eyes of children and the silence after the rain. The kingdom is here. It has always been here. And you have been standing in it, breathing it, living it, without recognizing it. Because you were taught to look somewhere else, to wait for something else, to believe that heaven is a distant place and you are a distant soul, separated by sin and shame, and an angry God who demands blood before he will let you come home. But that teaching is a lie. And the Gospel of Thomas is the truth that shatters the lie. You are not distant. You are here. You are not separated. You are one. You are not waiting for the kingdom. You are the kingdom, and the moment you remember that, the world does not change. You do. Because you see what you could not see before, and you cannot unsee it. The church told you that you need a priest. Thomas says you are the temple. The church told you that you need a savior. Thomas says you are the light. The church told you that you are a sinner. Thomas says you are God, not because Thomas is trying to convince you, but because Thomas is trying to remind you. And the reminder is not happening in your mind. It is happening in your body, in the quickening you feel in your chest when you read the words, "Split a piece of wood, and I am there." In the recognition that floods through you when you hear, "The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you." That recognition is not new. It is ancient, older than the church, older than the Bible, older than the words themselves. It is the memory of what you were before you were born. The awareness that was here before the world began and will be here after it ends. And that awareness is not separate from you. It is you, the truest you, the deepest you, the you that has never been broken, never been fallen, never been separated from God, because you are not separate from God. You are the breath of God. You are the light of God. You are God, experiencing what it is like to forget, so that you can experience the joy of remembering. And the remembering is not a thought. It is a shift, a turning, a recognition that what you were seeking was never outside. It was always inside. And inside is where the kingdom is. Inside is where the light is. Inside is where God is, not waiting for you to find him, but breathing through you, seeing through you, living as you. And the most dangerous part of all? It is not a metaphor. It is not symbolic. It is not poetic language designed to inspire you for a moment and then fade. It is literal. You are the light which is above them all. You are the awareness in which the kingdom is spread. You are the breath, the presence, the life itself, not because you earned it, not because you believed hard enough, not because you prayed the right prayers or confessed the right sins or submitted to the right authority, but because it is the truth. It has always been the truth, and the truth does not require permission. It only requires recognition, and once you recognize it, you cannot be controlled. You cannot be made small. You cannot be convinced that you need their permission to return to the Father, because you are not returning. You are remembering, and the remembering is the awakening. The Gospel of Thomas is not a book. It is a transmission, a key, a decoder, and every time you read it, every time you speak the words, every time you let the teaching land in your body instead of your mind, something shifts. The false world begins to dissolve. The world that told you that you were small, that you were separate, that you needed someone else to mediate between you and God. That world was built on your forgetting, and it cannot survive the return of your remembering. Because once you remember who you are, you cannot unknow it. You cannot go back to kneeling. You cannot go back to begging. You cannot go back to believing that salvation is somewhere else, in some other time, through some other person. You know, directly, that the kingdom is here, that the Spirit is breathing through you, that the light is awake in you, and that knowledge is the most dangerous thing in the world to those who built their empires on your forgetting. This is not about rejecting the church. This is about remembering what the church forgot. This is not about abandoning Jesus. This is about returning to the Jesus who spoke in the upper room, who breathed on the disciples, who said, "The kingdom of God is within you," who prayed that they may be one as we are one, who taught not religion, but awakening, and the awakening begins with breath, with the recognition that the same Spirit that moved through him is moving through you, with the remembering that you are not waiting for the light. You are the light, remembering itself. The twin has spoken. And now, so do you. You are not reading this by accident. You are here because something inside you has been calling for this. For years, for lifetimes. You have felt the gap between what they told you and what you knew, between the sermons and the silence, between the promises and the emptiness. You went to church and sang the hymns and said the prayers. You bowed your head and confessed your sins. You tried to believe harder, to have more faith, to surrender more completely, but something was always missing. Not God, not grace, not salvation, but the truth. The simple, radical, unbearable truth that you are already whole, that the kingdom is already here, that the light you are searching for is the light looking through your eyes right now, and they could not give you that truth. Because if they did, you would not need them anymore. You would not need the buildings or the rituals or the hierarchy. You would not need someone to stand between you and God, translating, mediating, controlling access. You would know directly that God is not distant. God is here, breathing through you, living as you. And you are not a sinner waiting to be saved. You are the light waiting to be remembered. That is what the Gospel of Thomas teaches, and that is why it was banned for 1,600 years. Not because it was false, but because it was true. And the truth does not create followers, it creates equals. It creates Christs, And a world of Christ's is a world where the institution has no power. The gospel was buried in the Egyptian desert in a sealed jar, hidden by monks who knew the church was coming to destroy it. And for over 16 centuries, it lay there in the sand, waiting, not for scholars to dig it up, but for you to be ready. Because this teaching does not work on the unprepared. It does not work on those who still believe the lie. It only works on those who have felt the gap, who have prayed to a distant God and felt the silence, who have knelt in churches and felt more alone than they did in the forest, who have been told they are broken and knew, somewhere deep, that it was not true. You are one of those people. That is why you are here. That is why these words are landing in your chest instead of bouncing off your mind. That is why something is shifting inside you right now, something you cannot name but can feel. It is the remembering, the awakening, the return, not to a place, not to a belief, but to yourself, to the awareness that has always been here, beneath the stories, beneath the guilt, beneath the fear. The awareness that knows it is the light, that knows the kingdom is within, that knows it has never been separate from God because it is God, experiencing what it is like to forget so that it can experience the joy of remembering. And the remembering is happening now, not because I am teaching you, but because your soul recognizes what it has always known, and it is waking up. This video is not for everyone. It is not for those who are comfortable in their religion, who are satisfied with kneeling, who are content to wait for a kingdom that never comes and a God who never answers. This video is for the ones who are ready to stop waiting, the ones who are ready to stop seeking and start seeing, the ones who are ready to remember. It is for the one who has been praying to a distant God and feeling the silence, who has stood in sanctuaries and felt the emptiness, who has sung the songs and said the creeds and still felt like something was missing. It is for the one who has always known, somewhere deep, that the truth is not in the book they gave you, that the light is not where they told you to look, that the kingdom is not coming because it is already here. It is for the one who is tired of being small, tired of being told they are broken, tired of begging for a grace they already possess and a salvation they already are. It is for the one who is ready to stand, to recognize, to remember. And if that is you, then what happens next is not optional. It is not a suggestion. It is a calling. Because the Gospel of Thomas was not buried for 1,600 years so that you could read it and forget it. It was buried so that when it returned, it would return through you, through your voice, through your sharing, through your willingness to be a torch for others still wandering in the dark. This is not about growing a channel. This is not about likes or views or subscribers. This is about transmission, about lighting fires, one soul at a time, one remembering at a time. Because the Gospel of Thomas is not a book, it is a key, and it only works when it passes from one heart to another. When someone who has remembered reaches back and reminds someone who is still forgetting, you have been reminded, and now you are being called to remind others, not through preaching, not through convincing, not through argument or debate, but through presence, through the quiet act of sharing, of liking, of commenting, of sending this to the one person you know who needs to hear it, the one who is still kneeling when they could be standing, the one who is still praying to a God outside when the kingdom is within, the one who is still waiting for salvation when they are already whole. If this remembering found you, let your response be silent but seen, a like, a share, a comment, not for me, but for the one who is still searching, the one who has said the prayers 1,000 times and still felt the gap, the one who is ready to remember that the kingdom is not coming, it is here, and it has always been here. This is not marketing, this is mission, and the mission is simple. Remind those who are ready, light the torch, pass the fire, because the teaching does not live in words, it lives in transmission. And you are now part of that transmission, but there's more, so much more. The Gospel of Thomas is only one of the texts that was banned. There are others, hidden teachings, forgotten prayers, sayings of Jesus that never made it into the Bible because they were too dangerous, too direct, too liberating. We call them the sacred scrolls. And they are not meant to convince you or convert you. They are meant to remind you, to give you the pieces that the church removed, to show you what your heart has always known but your mind was never allowed to see. Each scroll holds a quiet piece of the original teaching, the breath, the light, the remembrance of God's presence within you, not as metaphor, not as belief, but as experience, as knowing. They are offered for those who feel something stirring beneath the surface, for those who sense there is more, for those who are ready to go deeper. And if you have been walking this path alone, if you have been feeling like the only one who questions, who doubts, who knows there is more than what they taught you, then know this: you are not alone. We have created a space, a private group, a quiet corner away from the noise where seekers gather, not to debate, not to argue doctrine or defend theology, but to share, to reflect, to remember together. Inside, there are people from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different stories, but all feeling the same calling, all hearing the same knock at the door, all ready to open it. It is a place where you can speak freely, where you can ask the questions you were never allowed to ask in church, where you can explore the teachings that were banned and discover the truths that were hidden. It is not a place of answers. It is a place of remembering. And sometimes, the remembering happens not in solitude but in community, in the shared recognition that we are all walking the same path, all waking from the same sleep, all remembering the same light. If that speaks to you, you will find the link to the group in the description below, or in the pinned comment. It is a calm corner in the chaos, a space where honest hearts meet, and you are welcome there. Go in peace, but not the peace of submission, not the peace of surrender, not the peace that comes from kneeling and begging and hoping that one day, if you are good enough, God will let you in. No, the peace of recognition, the peace of knowing that you are not a sinner, you are not fallen, you are not waiting for God to arrive. You are the light remembering itself. And the kingdom has always been here. It is within you. It is outside of you. It is spread upon the earth. The next time you pray, do not look up. Look in. Do not beg for the kingdom to come. Recognize that it is already here. Do not ask God to save you. Remember that you are already whole. Split a piece of wood. Lift up a stone. Look in the mirror, and you will find what you have been searching for. Not because it was hidden, but because you forgot to look. The Gospel of Thomas is not new. It is 2,000 years old. But the teaching is older than that. Older than the Bible, older than the church, older than the world itself. It is the original teaching, the one that was here before the words, the one that will be here after the words are gone. The teaching that says, you are the light, you are the kingdom, you are God, remembering what it is like to be you. And the remembering is not complete until you live it, until you breathe it, until you become it. Until every prayer you speak is not a plea but a recognition. Until every breath you take is a remembering that the Spirit of God is moving through you. Until every moment you live is a seeing that the kingdom is here, not in the future, not in heaven, not after death. Here, now, in this life, in this body, in this breath. The twin has spoken. 2,000 years ago, Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down the secret sayings of the living Jesus. And he did not write them for the church. He did not write them for scholars or theologians or priests. He wrote them for you, for the one who is ready to remember, for the one who has felt the gap, for the one who is tired of waiting and ready to see. And now, the teaching has returned, not because it was found in the sand, but because you are ready to receive it. The gospel is not in the book. The gospel is in you. It has always been in you, and it is waking up. So speak it, breathe it, live it, share it, become it, because you are not a follower of the light. You are the light, and the world is waiting for you to remember. The kingdom is within you. The kingdom is outside of you. The kingdom is here, and so are you.